Hello Acolytes, welcome back to After Plague, and I know this video is late, I'm so sorry. Chinese New Year was like the second week of February, but I still wanted to do a character illustration for Chinese New Year because it is the Year of the Dragon, and I was born in the Year of the Dragon. So for those who might not know, the story behind the Chinese Zodiac is that the Jade Emperor, who is the ruler of heaven, was creating a calendar, and he invited all the animals on Earth to participate in a race to join the Zodiac. And so the dragon obviously entered that top 12. I think it was number 5 or 6, I'm not entirely sure. There were certain physical traits I wanted to associate with this character. Firstly, I wanted to give her a very curvy body, a very S-shaped body, to sort of call back to the shape of the Chinese dragon. Eastern dragons are almost like serpents. They're very thin, very long, very, again, curving. So I wanted to make sure that no matter how she was positioned, her body had this curve to it that was reminiscent of the dragon. I also made her a little bit older than I make my usual characters. I don't know why I don't draw older characters more often. I would say she's probably in her 40s, maybe, because the Chinese Zodiac, the dragon, is sort of in the middle of the group, so more middle-aged. The other thing I wanted to make sure I maintained with her was this sort of regal appearance. I wanted her to look very elegant, very put together. I wanted her to have this, straight back, that kind of thing. I wanted her to appear very royal because dragons often represent royalty in Chinese culture. And the traits associated with the people born in the Year of the Dragon, they can often be perfectionists, they can be egotistical, they definitely can come off as a little bit snobby, but they're also very intelligent and very outspoken and energetic. I think if I were to do this again and redesign her, I would love to give her a little bit more energy. It's pretty hard to maintain that balance of like elegant with also being very energetic, because those I find are often quite diametrically opposed. I gave her sort of a modernized version of classic Chinese formal wear. I often see that like high collar in Chinese dresses and Chinese formal wear, but I did want to bring her a little bit more into a fashionable, modern look. She is actually a character for a story that I'm working on where all of the Chinese Zodiac characters are included and they're at a dinner party essentially. So I wanted to make sure she looked appropriate if she were at a formal dinner party. I spent a lot of time working on this background. There's a lot of like really iconic Chinese patterning that you see in a lot of work that's representative of Chinese culture. I really wanted to include them because I really like them. I think they look really good and they would add a lot of texture to this background. I'm not really sure about the dragon on her dress. I think it looks a lot better from the front than it does from the side. I'm not entirely sold on it. I tried to make it like warp around her body a little bit, but I'm just not sure it worked. I did end up liking this sort of like foggy, misty pattern on her dress as well, and I did want to add that because in Chinese mythology, dragons ride fog to come down to earth because they don't have wings, so yeah, they ride the air, the fog, the rain to come down to earth. So I did want to make sure I included that in this image. I was also very careful when I colored this illustration. I wanted to make sure that I was including as much about the Zodiac as I possibly could. So I really wanted to make sure that I didn't include anything that was considered unlucky towards the dragon. Like, for example, the unlucky colors for the dragon, for Year of the Dragon, are blue and green, and the lucky colors are gold, silver, and like a gray color. I also, when I was doing the sketch, I gave her this like flowing dress that sort of ended in this bubble? No, like flowing piece at the end. And I did that specifically to try and make it look like a tail, but unfortunately in the final image I thought it would be better to do just like a knees up than the full illustration. But yeah, I am regretful that I couldn't include her beautiful tail. I also wanted to incorporate dragons as much as I could into her outfit, so you can see she also has one as a hairpin in her hair. as well as being on her dress. The other thing that I really liked from my initial design that I didn't incorporate here just because I felt like it wouldn't look good with the whole background and everything. In the original sketch, she has these two tendrils of hair that sort of flow forward, and I really liked them because they looked like dragon whiskers. Chinese dragons are really known for having these long, beautiful dragon whiskers, so I wanted to use elements of her hair to sort of create that, but it ended up not really working out in the final illustration, so that was a bit of a bummer. It was a bit unfortunate, but if I do draw her again, I think I would like to include those. Initially, that dragon in the back also didn't have the whiskers. I didn't design him. I just sort of found a decent looking Chinese dragon silhouette and drew it based off of that. So if that looks familiar, you might have seen it somewhere before. Yeah, unfortunately, I don't know the original source, but I did end up going in and changing him a little bit because he didn't have those long whiskers that I wanted. So I do go in and add those eventually. Thank goodness for the Procreate Symmetry tool. Thank you so much, Procreate Symmetry tool, because otherwise I would have had a really hard time doing this circle, this pattern in the background. As is, it was hard enough, but I'm very happy with how it turned out actually. And that symmetry tool, it saved me so much time. I can't even believe it, how much time it saved me. And I'm really pleased with how this turned out. I debated whether or not I wanted to leave it black, but I did end up changing it into being gold, which I think looks really good. There's a lot of gold in this illustration. I'm very pleased with it. I just sort of did my normal line art style on the character, this, you know, dry ink, rough styled line art. I did, however, it bothers me because it looks good on the actual illustration. I went in with a halftone brush and used that to shade in parts as well, and I really like how it turned out. However, the video, for some reason, it caused the video to artifact really badly. So if you end up seeing some artifacts in this illustration, I apologize. I've since figured out how to fix it using the Procreate video settings, so it shouldn't happen again. But there is unfortunately some artifacting with this line art here. I apologize. I spent a lot of time on her hair. I love working on hair, making it look really full and voluminous. I feel like it can make a character look really elegant, and I feel like it brings her some of that like royal elegance that I was looking for. Again, I don't draw characters this age very often, but I really like that, what's it called, the like nasal labial fold. Oh, it looks so good on her. I also tried to give her crow's feet, but I think maybe they get a little bit lost in her lashes, as well as the wrinkles sort of on the interior of her eyes. So I hope she comes across as a bit of an older woman. Again, sort of mid-40s, I think is probably mid-40s, mid to late 40s is how old she would be. I do want to design more characters from the Chinese Zodiac. Again, I'm working on that story that I was talking about, so let me know in the comments which one you would like to see next, because I'm very excited about her, and it's definitely making me want to work on other characters from the Zodiac. I really wasn't sure what to do with the dragon on her dress. Initially, I wanted to leave him black, and then it just felt very out of place with the rest of the illustration. So I tried a whole bunch of different colors, and I'm just not sure I really landed on one that I loved. I don't know, maybe I should have left him black. You'll have to tell me what you think. If you want to see what I'm working on ahead of time, I worked on this illustration a lot on my Twitch streams. On Twitch, I am Afterplague. That's twitch.tv/Afterplague. I stream kind of intermittently. I need to come up with a better schedule, but I did pretty much this entire illustration on stream. So again, if you want to see what I'm working on early, go ahead and go follow me over there, or I sometimes post updates on my other social media. I'm Afterplague pretty much everywhere, except for Twitter, where I'm after_plague, because somebody in 2012 stole my username. I don't think the black clouds look very good in this illustration. I feel like they cause way too much detail, way too much confusion with the eyes, but I feel like what I end up doing with them does look good. So I'm happy in the end how they turn out, but right now it's going through a bit of an ugly phase, so you'll just have to bear with it. Here's where that artifacting becomes very apparent. That like gray is not supposed to be there. That's just the video not knowing how to pick up the halftones. I apologize for it. It looks terrible. Terrible, terrible, terrible. But unfortunately, there's nothing I can do post the illustration, and I don't want to miss out on showing you guys this illustration because I am very happy with how it turned out. So initially with this coloring, I wanted to keep it in a very red color palette, and so I did these colors, and then I decided I just didn't enjoy them, so I ended up starting a different document and messing around with the colors for a while until I found something I liked. I am very happy with these eyes. I feel like they look great. I love that they're golden. I started out with them being that same reddish brown, but I decided that this gold looks so much better, and I'm very happy with how they turned out. They're very piercing, and they're exactly what I wanted her eyes to look like. I feel like your eyes are drawn directly to her face because of them. But yeah, I ended up not really liking this combination of like skin tone and dress and background, so I messed around with it for ages in a secondary document and then decided that I liked it. So I do go in and I fixed that. With this little brooch that she had in her hair, it was supposed to look like diamond encrusted, but I'm not sure I really nailed it, especially from this distance. I feel like if you look at it up close, it does look diamond encrusted, but from a distance, it just kind of looks white. I don't know. You'll have to let me know what you think, but I think the clouds in the gold automatically look better, even though they do still need a lot of shading and tweaking. It just looks a lot better than that black color. And that's why I feel like the dragon on her dress looks a little out of place being black, just because it's very harsh against the gold and the red. So I do end up messing around with him. I don't know. I don't know where I ended up with it. I'm not sure. The other thing that slightly changed from this design from the sketch is that in the sketch she had like a, oh gosh, what do you call it? A sleeve? Yeah, I guess, like a transparent sleeve, almost like a tight on her arm. I decided to just give her gloves instead of this whole covered arm situation, just to show off a little bit more of her skin tone. So I did take the skin down to this darker orange color, and I like that a lot better. I also like the darker color of the background a lot better, though I do still keep messing with it because I feel like the red background and the red character, I don't know, they don't really stand out with each other. And I got some good suggestions in chat of how to fix that on Twitch, from suggestions for the background to doing an outline around her, and that's ultimately what I decided to do. I ended up doing the shading on a pin light layer, and it gave it this really pink color, and I loved it. It almost gave it like a surreal quality. I really, really like how that color ended up, and so I was trying to capture a little bit of that surrealist, not quite surreal feeling for the rest of the illustration as well. From like the gold highlights to the shading that I do on her dress, I really wanted to make sure that it felt in tandem, in line with the shading on her skin. That pink and orange combo is really beautiful, which is strange because those colors aren't supposed to go together, but they look fantastic. So I went through a whole bunch of different looks for the dress, and I decided I liked the shading that looked like this. And then I decided that the gold wouldn't be this shiny all over her body, so I toned it down a little bit on areas that wouldn't be facing the light. Only areas that are facing the light would really have that shiny gold appearance, and I like that a lot. And again, I toned down the dragon to be almost like a purpley red. I feel like it looks good. I tried for a little bit to make these gloves look a bit more transparent, and then I decided I didn't like it and wanted them to be opaque, so I kept them opaque in the end. With the hair, I decided to do more of a highlight than a shadow, just to bring it forward from that background, because I felt like the shadow would hide all of the detailed line work that I had done on the hair. So I ended up just sort of highlighting it instead and hoping that that would make it pop a little bit from the similar colored background. Again, I do go in and I change that background like half a dozen times trying to figure out a way to make it work, because I'm like, do I want it darker? No, because then that makes the dragon hard to see. Do I want it lighter? No, because then it gets away from this like traditional red. So I try a whole bunch of things, and I do settle on something I like. So I decided that he needed whiskers, and I try to give him whiskers that I think look good. I ended up deciding to make his whiskers wrap around the gold piece because I thought it was really cute, and then I thought it would be fun if the other whisker was like touching her, resting on her shoulder, and I feel like that looks great. I added some shadows, of course, to like ground it a little, and then I got rid of, did some erasing to make the whiskers stand out against his skin. The last thing I did was give her this gold outline because I thought, well, a white outline wouldn't work, but a gold one might. So I added that in. I made it nice and thick so we got a good look at the gold. I'm happy with how it turned out. I feel like maybe I'm not 100% sold on the outline. I think it looks good. I don't know. I just didn't know how to make it pop out from the background. But this is my Chinese New Year, Year of the Dragon illustration. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, be sure to like it. If you want to see more from me, subscribe. I upload every Saturday. Wink, 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 wink. Follow me on all my social media. I am After Plague pretty much everywhere. Twitch, TikTok, Instagram, Goodreads, and I am After_Plague on Twitter. Did you know I have a book out? I have a book out. It's called Corruption. It's on my website, afterplagueart.myshopify.com. Thank you again so much for watching, and I hope you survive this post-plague world.